Hello, my dear students. So let's start our chapter of the Indian Constitution. So we have discussed one session it before only. So this is our second session, and today we will be discussing about the key features of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so as Indian Constitution, you know, my dear students, that is the Constituent Assembly is a group of members who made the Constitution. There were 300 members, 300 leaders. They created this Constitution, they drafted, they debated on it. So by the beginning of the 20th century, after the independence from the British rule, we have suffered a lot for decades, okay, for many years, and we have struggled for the independence from the British rule. So and at last we have achieved our independence. So during the freedom struggle, the nationalists, whoever the nationalists were there, the national heroes were there, they had devoted a great deal of time to imagine and planning that what a free India would be like. Okay, so this was their imagination, that in what country we want to live in. So as per the imagination, as per the planning, okay, so under the British, they had been forced to obey rules that they had very little role in making. The long experience of authoritarian rule under the colonial state convinced Indian. Okay, so authoritarian means which we can say that enforcing strictly obedience to the authority. Okay, so there should be, means Indian wanted that there should be Indians, and the Indians should be treated equally, and also Indians should get allowed to participate in the government structure. Okay, so what remained to be done, that it was to work out the ways which the democratic government would be set up in India. So what happened, my dear students, here, this was done not by one person but by a group of around 300 people who became members of the Constituent Assembly. And when it happened, my dear students, it happened in 1946, and they made periodically for the next 3 years to write India's constitution. So the process was framing the constitution. It was very tough or difficult task, we can say. So at last in 1949 it has got ready, and we see 1946 they have started to work on this, and next 3 years they were working on that, on the to write the Indian constitution, and in 1949 it was ready. Now see, since if we count the years, since 70 years now has been completed. So since that it has been running, we are following the constitution which was drafted by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Okay, and that is accepted by all of that time also and now also, because we are also following. Yes, so this was not easy to make draft. So while drafting, it was a challenge to accommodate all the means the diversity of the country, the culture of the country, and they were making sure that such constitution that every person should follow, whether from any culture, any language, any religion. Okay, so these members of the Constituent Assembly had a huge task before it. So the country was made up of several different communities. Okay, so the religions, as well as the caste system, the culture system. Okay, so it had distinct culture, our India has. So as we as we see that India has a vast culture in every corner of the country. So this was, see, to bring under one umbrella, it was a difficult task. Yes, as well as the second thing was that the partition of the country into India and Pakistan. So some princely states were not ready to include in India. They wanted to remain undecided, okay, about the future and socio-economic condition. So all of these issues played on the minds of the members of the Constituent Assembly as they drafted the constitution, okay. So my dear students, I am telling that it was not an easy task to bring all these things into under one roof or under one umbrella, which we can see. So they rose the occasion and gave this country a visionary document, which we can see the vision, clear vision, okay. So the great patriotism at that time, we can imagine, so that the patriotism towards the country was reflected. So respect for the maintaining diversity while preserving national unity, okay. So the final document also reflect their concern and eradicating poverty through socio-economic reforms, okay. So Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he played the crucial role. He convinced the princely states to not to go to allow to not to include in Pakistan. So that was the great challenge, and that was his achievement, which we can say that princely states included in the into the Indian state, okay. So this is Dr. Ambedkar, and as you know that he is known as a father of Indian Constitution. So Dr. Ambedkar believed that his participation in the Constituent Assembly helped the scheduled caste to get some safeguards in the draft constitution. But he also stated that although the laws might exist, scheduled caste still had reason to fear, because uh, uh, see, there was caste system, and he therefore urged that scheduled caste to join the government as well as the civil services, okay. So how the rules were there, or how the system was there, so that time how he feels he has included about the scheduled caste in the Indian Constitution. So these are the members which we can see here, that these members of the Constituent Assembly had a huge task before them. Of the country was made up of several different communities, okay. So who spoke different languages, different religion and distinct culture. So and that time India was going through a considerable turmoil, okay. So turmoil, which we can say the difficult situation, okay. So the partition of the country into India and Pakistan was imminent that time, and five princely states were not ready to join India after 1947, okay. So they were uncertain about their future. So all these issues played on the minds of the members. So see, this was not like that, okay. One day they had sit together and they had drafted the constitution. No, it was not like that. So many situations were there in front of them, and planning, and the conditions of the country. So this was a very crucial job for them, okay. So the now we have discussing that eradicating poverty, okay. So the final document also reflects their concern for eradicating poverty. The agenda was that to eliminate the poverty through socio-economics reform. There had something there there was a need to bring reforms in the social as well as the culture in the India. So as well as they have emphasized the crucial role people can play to choose their representatives. So like that way like that way we can say that this constitution has been drafted. So the agenda was to eradicating poverty. So these are some key features of the Indian constitutions which we will be discussing during this session. So first is the federalism, and second is the parliamentary form of government. Third is separation of powers. Fourth is fundamental rights, and fifth is secularism. Okay. So first, one by one, we will be discussing. So first, we will see the federalism. So what is meant by federalism? So from that, we will start. See, federalism refers to the existence of more than one level. Okay, or we can say more than two level of the government in the country. In India, we have government at the state level and at the center. Okay. So, sorry. Since last year also we have discussed that we have three levels, that that is state level government. Then, sorry, the first one is the central government, then state government, and third is local self government. Okay. So in India we have government at the state level and at the center. Okay. So Panchayati Raj is a third tier of the government, and you have read about this in the 6th standard, that Jilla Parishad, Panchayat Samiti and Gram Panchayat, that you have studied in 6th standard. Okay. The vast number of communities in India meant that a system of government needed to be device that did not involve any person sitting in the capital city of New Delhi and making decision for everyone. So here what happened, how, as we will take the example of our school, that see, our principal madam does not govern the whole school. What she does, she gives power to the integrators. Okay. So integrators, as per the section, the integrators look after that section. For the pre-primary section, one integrator is there, then primary section, one integrator is there, and for secondary section, integrator is there. So the same way from top to bottom, the power is being shared among these divisions. So you can see here in this flow chart that level of government. Okay, so this is the level of government. So first is center, which is central government, then state government, and then local self government. Okay. So as we are discussing the federalism in India, so states enjoy the autonomy in exercising power, but at the same time they follow the laws of the central government. See, center has given the authority to states that they can make some laws by their own, but in the same time the states have to follow the laws which of the central government. Okay. Then the next is constitution also specifies where each tier of government can make law. Here we can see that state. Okay, state government. So state government also has the power to make laws according to the situation, according to time. Okay. But the same time the state also has to follow the central government, and in the local self government also specifies the source of money for each tier of the government. Okay, so union list, state list and concurrent list. So union list, that the foreign affairs, and according to law the union list being done. Then state list, the internal trade, how should be formed and followed. And concurrent list means the education, which can state also and country also, sorry, central government also can follow. Okay. The second one is parliamentary form of government. So in the parliamentary form of government, a form of government based on the parliament elected representative. Okay. So here which we will discuss that voting right. Okay. So we will be discuss about the universal adult suffrage. So universal adult suffrage means what? Voting right above 18 years. Okay. Those whose age is 18 plus, he has the voting right and give vote, and he has the right to choose the representative. So that is called the parliamentary form. Okay. And when these laws, okay, these laws, the issues were being discussed, the debates on that was being done, and the work goes on like this. So a fundamental right is to vote, that is called the universal adult suffrage. So same time what happened, when they are making the constitution, the members of the constituent assembly felt that the freedom struggle had prepared the masses for universal adult suffrage, and this would help encourage a democratic mindset and break the clutches of traditional caste, traditional caste, class and gender hierarchies. Okay, so this means that the people of India have a direct role in what? In electing their representative, in choosing their representatives, and also every citizen of the country, his social whatever his social background, he can contest in the election. So these representatives are accountable to the people. Okay, accountable means answerable to the people. See, the person who is giving vote, he also has the right to contest in election. As I said that these representatives are accountable. These representatives are accountable to the people. Accountable to the people means we have chosen our representatives, so that representatives debate, discuss on the issues, and they are answerable to people, those who have chosen them. Okay. Then third is separation of power. Okay, so as we are discussing the separation of power means sharing works. Okay, sharing the power, or dividing the power. Then why there is need to do the separation of power, where it has to be done, and why. So that we will be discussing here. So according to the constitution, there are 3 organs of government. Okay, so these are the legislature, executive and judiciary. Okay, so the legislature, first picture you can see here, the legislature refer to our elected representatives. Okay, now we have discussed in the parliamentary form of government that we choose our representatives, and that representatives sit in the assembly, and they discuss, they debate on the current issues, and they take out, the work goes on that. So they take out the solution for that. So the legislature refer to our elected representatives. The second one is executive. Okay, so here the group of police you can see here. The executive is a smaller group of people who are responsible for implementing laws and running the government. Okay, so here you can see that, see the situation of lockdown. So these executive form to implement these laws accordingly. Okay, the third one is judiciary. Judiciary that in detail we will discuss in the next few chapters. So this is the system of courts in the country, the order to prevent the misuse of power by any branch, whether it is legislature, executive or judiciary. Okay, so see my dear students, here you can see that there is a check and balance of the power between all these three. Means power is shared between these three organs. How check and balance? That any one organ does not misuse the power. Okay, so that is why these three organs share the powers. So separate the powers. Now see, in our class, the example we will see in our class, there is a chaos between girls and boys. So what teacher does? Teacher makes the boy monitor for boys and girl monitor for girls. Okay, so the same way one organ check the second organ, the next one organ, and it get balanced. Okay, so that is why you can say the check and balance. So legislature, see, legislature, executive and judiciary, these we have discussed here. Now we will go to the fourth key feature, that is fundamental right. Okay, so in fundamental rights means, which in the simple language we can say that basic rights. Okay, so the maker of the constitution noticed that people have suffered in British colonial rule. Freedom of expression was not there. They were not allowed to choose their occupation, and their country was ruled by the Britishers so many years. So the makers of the constitution, these rules and regulations should be there in the written form. The makers of the constitution thought that there should be rules and regulations should be there in the written form. If anyone, even the government does against it, the citizen had its fundamental right. Okay, so the section on fundamental rights has often referred to as conscience. Okay, so of the conscience of the Indian constitution. So the colonial rule had created a certain suspicion of the state in the minds of the nationalists, and they wanted to ensure that to set of written rights would guard against the misuse of state power in independent India. So I said it before only that makers of the constitution, they have noticed that our India has suffered under the control of British rule since many years. So there should be a set of rules in the written form. Okay, so fundamental rights therefore protect citizens against the arbitrary means one-sided, okay, and absolute exercise the power by the state. The constitution thus guarantees the rights of individual against the state as well as against the other individual. Okay, so next we will see the majority and the minority. Okay, so majority and the minority, which we can say that various minority communities also expressed the need for the constitution to include rights that would protect their groups. The constitution also guarantees the right of minorities against the majority. Okay, so how? See, there is our India is a sovereign country. Yes, so in the sovereign country, that the precautions have been taken that the majority group, any religion may be, any community may be, the group of people, the majority group cannot suppress to the minority group. So that precaution also has been taken in the Indian constitution. So minority group has the right, has the basic right. Okay. So the constitution also has the section called directive principles of state policy. The section was designed by the members of the Constituent Assembly to ensure greater social and economic reforms and to serve as a guide to the independent Indian state. Okay. So that also we will discuss that why Indian state, this term we are using on and off on Indian state. Okay. So the directive, as we are discussing here, the directive principles of state policy. So as we are discussing the last key feature of Indian constitution, that is secularism. So see, our India is a secular country, and secular state is one of in which the state does not officially promote any one religion, not Hinduism, not Islam, not Sikhism. Okay. So as the state religion, the constitution plays the crucial role in laying out the ideals that we would like all citizens of the country to adhere to, okay, to respect to, including the representatives that we elect to rule us. Okay. So it is said that secularism is the key feature of the democracy. So hope that you have understood this chapter, and make your own notes in your notebook.